Hey artists, I'm here today testing out and unboxing some travel watercolor brushes. I was excited when this company fuumuui, Fuumuui, contacted me to ask if they could send me some of their travel watercolor brushes to try out. I honestly don't have any of these kind of compact travel watercolor brushes, and I needed to get some, so this was a really good chance to add some to my travel bag. Often I just kind of throw my really expensive, nice watercolor brushes in a bag and take them with me, which is not good for them. So I needed some of these really fancy ones that kind of cover up and protect themselves. So I was excited to try these out so I can add them to my travel watercolor kit for my upcoming trip to the beach. Unboxing them, it looks like I have 4 different watercolor brushes here. There's a number 2 liner, a round that's an 8, a cat tongue that's an 8, and an 8 flat. Now normally I really just use the flats, the rounds, and some of the liners, so I'm not familiar with that cat tongue, and so this will be fun to try out. So my first tryout with these brushes is making a swatch card. I recently panned my watercolors into a smaller little travel watercolor tin, and I realized that I hadn't made a little swatch sheet for it. So I quick cut one up and squared it off to make for trying out these brushes. These are the Core Watercolors QOR by Golden. I'll have everything, my little travel watercolor kit there, the brushes, the watercolors, everything linked below, including a 20% off coupon to use on their website for the brushes and anything on it. It will get you 20% off plus free shipping. Now I'm struggling a little bit with this brush. If you didn't notice, I'm noticing that the little hairs on it aren't really coming together. They're really flared, and that's kind of bothering me. I'm hoping that it's going to settle down in a minute, but it's really causing me to struggle with doing this little swatching that I'm trying to get in these little squares on this little piece of paper. So far, I'm really liking the weight of this brush specifically. It's really easy to use. Like I said just a minute ago, I'm just a little frustrated that the little hairs are kind of not lining up, the little fibers. I'm trying to show you there, but the camera didn't focus on it. They're really flared, and I'm hoping that they'll settle down in a minute. I'm using just a really inexpensive watercolor paper here. I think it was by Strathmore. I just ripped it out of a watercolor journal I had on my desk to cut it up for my my little swatch paper here. This is the number 2 liner brush that I'm using. I chose it because I knew it would fit in these little squares, and it seems like the brush is starting to settle down a little bit. It was really flared in the beginning. It's not so much now, but it does flare out again. These aren't super expensive watercolor brushes, so for the money, I think they're actually a pretty great option for traveling. Now my normal watercolor brush of choice is the Silver Black Velvet watercolors. I really like how those work. I haven't tried out a lot of watercolor brushes. For some reason I tried those and just really liked them and have stuck with them. So I don't have a whole lot of comparison. These brushes don't seem to be as smooth as those brushes, but like I said, for traveling, for throwing in a bag, for taking to the coffee shop, for the beach, I'm not doing professional watercolors at those places. I'm just having fun, and sometimes a little less expensive, a little flimsier, a little kind of cheaper in a way, though they don't feel cheap because of the weight. Watercolor brush is nice to take for traveling because you don't worry about your expensive brushes. So that was the number 8 round that I just played with. Now, my other complaint with this little set is that it's really limited. Now, I normally use smaller rounds. I think I normally gravitate towards a 4 and a 6 round, and this 2 liner works for me. But this larger round is a little bit bigger than I play with normally at home. And then this cat tongue I've never played with, so this is completely new for me. A little side note, if you're watching critiquing my technique now and coming up when I start to paint a little bit more, I am a self-taught watercolor artist. I have not taken super crazy classes. I've mostly learned this on my own. I've done several house portraits that people have commissioned to have me paint, but I am by no means a fancy professional watercolorist. That means I'm just swatching and play with these how I normally would. Now, my watercolor method of choice is to grab a travel watercolor, take it to the beach, take it to the coffee shop. There are my on-the-go art supplies that I take with me when I need something to do. Now I'm grabbing a little, this is a thicker, heavier, maybe a little bit more professional sheet of watercolor, and it's kind of handling the brushes a little bit nicer. Oh, I'm having trouble with these words today. I decided to just quickly swatch the rainbow here to test out how these brushes slide and glide on a thicker, heavier, kind of more professional watercolor paper here, and I'm finding they work really well. However, they don't hold a lot of water, so I'm kind of losing some of that pigment towards the end, which is okay. Watercolor brushes and art supplies in general really are personal preference, and how you use them, how you're the weight of how much you push on the brush or the kind of paper you like. So it's really, really personal preference. If you like a supply more than others, often it's because it's just how your mobility is, or how your brain works, or how how your style is. So somebody could really love a watercolor brush that's like a $5 brush, and someone could really hate it, and vice versa. I mean, someone could hate a $30 watercolor brush and like the $5 watercolor brush. It's really just personal preference. After doing a little bit of mark making there with that Payne's Gray, which is one of my favorite colors, I decided to kind of sketch out a really quick, easy tree just to see how these would perform as I add color to the tree trunk here, take it away, layer up the leaves. I wanted to see how these brushes would perform under something that I would kind of in a way normally paint. Since I've done some house watercolors, they often include lots of trees. So I'm kind of familiar with how the tree works with my normal favorite brushes. So I'm trying it out here with these travel watercolor brushes. I did lose a couple fibers or hairs from those brushes, a couple of little bristles earlier. I don't know if you saw it. I was probably busy talking through it. So after losing those couple fibers, after playing with them for a little bit, after getting all that glue and stuff out of those fibers or bristles or hairs or whatever you want to call them, they seem to be settling down a little bit more. I'm having a little bit more confidence using this brush, and I'm actually really enjoying it. Specifically, I really enjoy the weight of it. The weight of the handle and stuff makes it really easy and fun to use. I'm just continuing to lay down color on my tree here. I started light. I'm going to get a little bit of dark. I'm going to add some shadowing with that Payne's Gray, and then I'm going to pull it away just again to see how these brushes perform under normal Nicole style watercoloring. So do I love these brushes? I'm supposed to be testing them out, unboxing them, I'm trying them here. I can't say that I love them because I really love my a little bit more expensive black velvet watercolor brushes. However, I really like these for traveling. I think they're going to be great to throw in my beach bag, my travel bag to take with me so I don't ruin my really good brushes. I'll probably take one good brush that kind of bends the gap between the sizes in here because I need something between the 2 and the 8. However, I think these are great for travel. If you look up to the left, you see the size of my palette and the size of the little case that these brushes came in, and they're a great small size. That watercolor palette is probably like the size of my cell phone. So these are perfect to throw in my car to take with me when I'm just doing some doodling type watercoloring. No, they don't have the full range that you would need to create a professional portrait, nor are they like the perfect type of brush for the way I like to paint. However, I think they are perfect for me for traveling. As you see, my tree is coming together here nicely with that 2 liner brush, and I'm really actually enjoying using it. And there you go. Look how cute it turned out. I think these brushes are just over $20 on their website, and I have that coupon code for you below for 20% off plus free shipping. The code works for anything on their website, not just the watercolor brushes. So I hope you'll take a little bit of a shopping trip, I guess, over to this site and see if you want to try these brushes out or any of the other supplies. I did create a larger, a little bit more detailed tree that I'm sharing in a short and a reel over on Instagram, a short over here on YouTube. I hope you'll check that out and see how they work for that more detailed. And now I'm going to close these up because I'm finished with my watercoloring, and as I do that, I do discover one other really cool advantage to these brushes. They have holes on the ends. So when you're traveling and you're at the beach or you're at the coffee shop and need to close them up quickly, they're not going to get mildewy or moldy or musty because they have that hole on the end to allow them to dry out. What a great little added cool thing for these travel watercolors. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, don't forget about that coupon code and check out their website. Thanks so much for watching.